Coming up on this week's episode of Trade Chat Down Under, we talk all about the latest news and current events from the world of Warcraft. We bring you all the latest updates from Warlords of Draenor. Huge Bloke introduces us to two more of his add-ons of the week. And we discuss some famous figures in World of Warcraft. All that and more, coming right up. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 5th episode of the Trade Chat Down Under podcast. With me tonight, as always, my great humanitarian friends, Huge Bloke. Good evening.
What's up, bitches?
And speaking of bitches, we've got Mel back for a second week in a row. Good evening, Queen of the Harpies.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Isn't that about Queen of the Happy Bitches?
That's apparently how it goes down these days. Just pointing out that we are now exactly 50 days away from the launch of Warlords of Draenor.
While we're pointing things out, I would like to take the opportunity to point out that you're going to hear the word bitches plenty in this podcast. So maybe turn that into a drinking game for the weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah, bitches.
Door shot.
Alright, so what's caught your eye this week, guys?
Bitches first.
There's been a few things. Probably, I guess the top of my list would be the removal of the legendary cloak in Warlords of Draenor. So, and when 6.0 hits, which I'm guessing is going to be mid-October, you won't be able to pick the quest up anymore, but if you're on the quest, you'll still have time to you'll have until Warlords drops to finish it, and then they're removing...
November 13th you have legendary.
Yeah. And yeah, I don't know what you guys think, but I thought that was kind of weird and stupid. Not necessarily happy about it. I mean, I've got it on one toon, and I feel like that's enough for me, but...
I think it's shit.
Yeah.
It's the first legendary to be intentionally taken out of the game.
Yeah.
There's no justified circumstances around it, but a lot of people saying fair enough. It's been out for a year. You've had plenty of time to get it. Well, I'm sorry, I don't play that amount of time in comparison, and it is very grindy and very long to get it. I think they should just leave it in there, let it go.
Well, I mean, as well, if you think about it from a lore perspective, there's so much lore tied up in the quest, and there's so much story with Rathian tied up in the quest, and they're just, it's just gone? Like, that seems...
Well, on that same sort of tangent too, you need the legendary cloak to jump the gap in the bridge and be able to fight Ordos.
Oh, well, that's being removed as well, obviously.
Well, yeah, I don't know how they're going to play that out, because you no longer need the legendary to fight Ordos, but you need the legendary to get across the gap, sort of thing.
You don't actually need the legendary to get across the gap, though.
Can you be summoned in?
You can jump across.
You can't jump. I have tried to jump across that. You cannot jump across that.
What kind of sorcery are you using?
You can jump. You can literally jump across. I think you can kite across it.
You have been hitting the doobies a bit.
I've been ported out of the Ordos Sanctuary more times than I care to remember, because I have kited straight in from across the bridge.
You can fall in there using kites, using the water hack and
you can
shit
drop
like
in there. That I've done if you
all they're going to do is remove the automatic porting out.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
There are ways to get there.
But see, even that sort of shits me. Like, if they're, they're removing that part of it. Like, that was almost part of the reward for busting your balls to get the legendary in the first place.
Exactly.
And you know, like people that fight Ordos, and sure, there's plenty of people that have got on plenty of tunes, but for people like myself who've only got it on one tune, like that's a big thing to have achieved that, so that you know my tunes could go across and fight Ordos. To take that out, it sort of, to me, it kind of nullifies the effort of getting that cloak in the first
I
place.
do know that they're adding, I don't know if it's as of Warlord's Drop or as of 6.0. I'm assuming that it's Warlord's Drop. There actually will be a title and achievement attached to having actually completed Chapter 5 of the quest line and handing it in. So as soon as we log in, but still, that doesn't... The title is Legend of Pandaria, for those who don't already know that.
My understanding is that comes in 6.0 because that's when you won't be able to get the quest anymore.
Yeah, I would imagine. But I mean, that still doesn't change the fact that it's shit that they're removing it. And also, like, when was the decision made? Why weren't people given more time, even?
Well,
Right?
they have extended the time on it. Originally, it was going to be 6.0, and that was it. Like, most people are guessing that 6.0 comes in about 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Traditionally, you get about 30 days of pre-patch before everything kicks off for the expansion. But this time around, I think they listened to a bit of the outcry from fans. So yeah, while you can't pick up the quest anymore, at least you've got that a little bit longer, like those 30 days to try and finish it off.
I know what Coronistas, who was in the raid last night, like he's trying to now maybe think about getting it. And obviously, the Valor
I'm in the same boat. Like I just started to try and get it on my second tune. I'm pretty much doomed anyway because I can't get past Silver Shard Mines victory, but you know that's a different story.
Just do war games.
What?
Set up war games. That's how I did it. It took me 5 minutes to get the PvP portion. You just get into a group with your guild, which we did. You have a losing team and a winning team.
Yep.
You switch over. It took me literally all of 5 minutes.
Well, there you go, folks. We have just been enlightened as to how to get around that stupid forced PvP.
I can't believe you hadn't thought about that.
I don't like me and PvP. I mean, they just.
Well, that's it. I've been the same in this expansion. I haven't PvP'd really at all, and I just stumbled upon it. Like I took that quest and I was on late one night, and someone was like, "Oh, I need this for cloak. Anyone else need it? Winning team, losing team," and it was done. It was nice, easy, quick.
Might have to have a bang at that. What else you got in the news?
One of the big things I have noticed, and it was from a post on Petopia, this is from the beta, there's a cool quest line to get a rare hunter's tame, which is for, it's really, really cool. It's for a void-touched wolf, so it's like purple and white, and it basically is this big, long epic quest chain. It starts in Shadow Moon Valley. There's basically in a graveyard somewhere, and there's a big post about it and a guide to how to do it, which I can post on Facebook later. But you go up to a grave and there's like a ghost wolf sitting there, and you click on it and he has a few options. And someone discovered that sometimes he had one text option, and then other times he had 2 text options to talk to him. And they realise that if you've got a certain thing in your inventory from killing something else nearby, and it sets you on this big quest chain to go into the void and kill some dude, and if you do, you release someone's spirit, and you get the opportunity to tame this wolf. And it's not like a rare mob that just spawns anywhere that someone can come along and kill. 20 other people could be on the quest, and they'll all have their own, obviously specific to hunters, that all have their own wolf show up, and they can all tame it. It doesn't attack you while you're trying to tame it. So
it's kind of like the hunter's equivalent of like the Greenfire Warlock quest and all that sort of shit. Nice.
Yeah, and you've got to travel all over Pandaria and collect certain things, and
Pandaria, we going back there, are we?
Oh, sorry, shit. Draenor.
You fail. Yeah. And that's, number 4 on the top 10 reasons of why you're a bitch. I did see 2 things in the news that really stood out to me this week, which was the BlizzCon reward, Gromlock.
Yeah, that's cool.
for most people would know that whether you get the online subscription or you actually attend BlizzCon, you do get a pet. In years gone by, it's been things like
Blizzard Bear.
Blizz Bear and Murky and a few others.
The best.
And this year is Gromlock. We'll try and post a picture up on Facebook for it, but it's basically a Murloc version of Grom. And I'm not a big sucker for him, but this one, even I sat back and I'm like, you know what, damn, that's pretty cool. I want one. So I'm going to get my hands on it. But the big thing in news that sort of got to me this weekend was the Terran Mill versus South Shore World PvP. That I've been absolutely hanging for this event, just to relive the glory days sort of thing. And for whatever reason, which it hasn't been explained yet, Blizz have decided to drop from 100 versus 100 to 40 versus 40.
Yeah, I did see that myself, actually.
Now, I can kind of get where they're coming from. Server lag, world lag. It'd be pretty nuts having 200 people go at it with all the spells and crazy shit going on. But on the same token, like I've had this sort of thing promised by so many games in the past. Like Call of Duty did it at one stage. Battlefield was going to do it at another stage. Star Wars, The Old Republic was going to have massive open world PvP. Warhammer. Whole bunch of games we're going to have 100 plus versus modes for open PvP, and I sort of got my hopes up thinking, well, of all the people, of all the companies that could pull it off, that have the sort of backbone and ability and hardware and shit, it would be Blizzard. Apparently not. So they that news kind of made me a bit sad in the pants, because I think that would have been more than epic. To have the 100 versus 100. And I know back in the day that, like, we did, we used to do things like the Chamois versus Pallies and have 3 full raids of, 40 each sort of thing, going at it in Barons and stuff like that. And, yeah, right, we crashed the servers a few times, but that was, 9 years ago. I think they've come far enough along now that they should be able to cope with 100 v 100. So,
yeah.
Not all news has been great for this week, but the last piece of news that I wanted to bring up, and it was brought to my attention by Frosted Skull, whichever way you want to pronounce it. He's a champion of the cause that's been joining us on fun runs. Hi, how you doing?
Hi, Frosty.
Well, apparently Wookiee's too good to say hi to his fun run members, but he's probably gone to sleep again.
Whatever, Wookiee.
I'm still here.
Makes a change. I can hear you snoring, but anyway. He pointed out to us that the Blizzard pre-purchase for boosting. So basically what they've done is suggested that if you want to boost a character and get onto it and get used to it and whatever else before the game actually comes out, is to do that. But then go and buy a collector's edition as well, register the account, contact Blizz support, and get the keys adjusted. So basically, the key that you get with the collector's edition, you can then hand on to a friend. So they're kind of pushing 2 accounts on you at once.
Yeah.
Sort of, if you want to get the boost and the collector's edition at the same time. Now, this is sort of pissing a few people off. To a degree, it sort of irritates me a bit as well. But it kind of takes away from the collector's edition. Like, there's nothing sort of, nothing special about it or iconic about it, in the fact that, like, everyone's getting a boost and they're sort of cheating and saying, well, everyone can have a boost immediately, but if you get the special edition, you have to wait twice as long or buy a second account. So it hasn't been warmly received and is basically been taken as, another push for cash and a bit of a jip by a lot of players. So,
but see, here's my problem with that.
You have 2 accounts anyway?
Well,
and
not
don't
anymore.
Care about collector's editions?
But what the problem is that everyone else is getting a boost. Like you buy the, well, I've bought the digital collector's edition.
Yep.
I've got my boost. Now, if I want to buy a regular collector's edition, I can do the same thing that they're talking about here.
Yeah.
Having already bought one edition, got the boost from that, and what they're saying then is I could trade the key from the collector's edition to somebody else.
Mm.
That's the price you pay for buying 2 freaking copies of the game.
Yeah.
If you can't wait till the expansion comes out to get your boost, and you want to get it early because everyone else is, that's your own fucking problem.
Yeah, that's a fair call.
That's just how I see it. And I'm talking about, I've already bought it, and I'm looking at buying a collector's as well.
Yeah,
Because I wouldn't mind a copy of the game that's up to date for once.
yeah,
I've got digital collectors, and I've ordered a physical copy because I like to have them. I've got all of them from Mists onward, and I want to have it.
But to me, that's the price you pay if you want to buy. If you can't wait to get your boost until the collector's comes out, that's the price you pay. I mean, you can buy the boost now outright without buying the actual game.
Yeah.
So
Which is true.
You got to look at your options in that case. I don't see what that complaint has absolutely no merit in my book.
Yeah, actually, I'm coming around to see your point of view. Like, if you have already bought a physical collector's edition, and they're saying, yeah, why wouldn't you just go and buy the boost?
There you are. See, I'm making sense for once. Speaking out for the common man. That's what I do.
This is a bulk rare occasion. We should probably have a shot or something to celebrate. Just going back to something Nikki just said then, I think that's so cute that you said you've got all the collector's editions from onwards.
I meant from Cata onwards, but yeah, I know. I don't have.
Oh, all right. So you bought the last one. That's it.
Oh, so
I've got
you've got 2 now.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, I'm so proud. Like you must.
Shut up, Jack.
You must be loving it. Speaking as someone, who that's my one of my many pride and joys in my collection is to have all the collector's editions. But I'm not rubbing it in or anything.
Well, speaking as someone who gave both of his away,
I'm quite surprised to hear you say that you're gonna get a Warlords one.
I want a physical copy of the game. I want an up-to-date physical copy of the actual discs.
Yeah, fair enough.
So,
So
and
it's not about having a collector's edition.
I don't care about the collector's edition. I may not even get the collector's yet. But
that's fickle.
If I do, I'm sure I can find someone to take the rest of it off their hands.
Oh, I'm pretty sure the rarely seen but often heard of Talbot would be obliged.
Yep, fair enough. So,
just going on to, I mean, it's not really news, but I know you guys have been watching the Warlords series as well.
Oh, Lords of War, yes, that's been really cool.
This week we saw the release of the Kilrog story. I really have no idea about half these guys, so this short series is like giving me crazy background and insight into.
Yeah, definitely.
And Kilrog, man, like that was a pretty brutal little episode.
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
I've been enjoying the whole series, not just like obviously because it has a lore and story and it's getting people ready, but just the artwork as well. I've really, really enjoyed.
I do like the stylisation of it.
Yeah.
What about you, Whoop?
I haven't actually seen the last 2 yet. It's on my to-do list tonight, actually.
Yeah. Nah, fair enough.
I have just watched all the spoilers they released for the zone, so.
Oh, good on you.
If we're going to have this discussion, I'm going to mute the conversation because I want no part of this.
No, we're not going to discuss it because no one else is probably doing it either. But what caught my eye this week was the actual size of the download for 6.0 that's going to come out.
The pre-patch
Looks set to be about 15 gig.
Oh, wow.
I just read the announcement literally 5 minutes ago that the pre-patch got fired up today and it was meant to be downloading in the background, but they've since paused it and taken it out again because they have issues with the size of it.
Now, bear in mind that the current WoW install, like my current WoW install at least, is 26 gig.
Yeah.
If this thing comes in at 15 gig, just for patch 6.0,
yeah.
I'm going to assume it overwrites a number of textures and things like that as well. So we're looking at about a 40 gig install after this.
I don't think that'll be too far off. which they are starting to get a little excessive. But then again, you look at the level of content that you're getting. It's kind of to be expected. I think with the actual Warlords install though, like you said, like not just textures, but sound and music and all that sort of stuff a lot of that will be getting rewritten, or copied over. But I just found it funny because even in the blue post about it, they're like, oh, pre-patching, blah blah blah, 14.5 gig. Oh wait, we have issues with the size of that, so we've cancelled it. And I'm sitting back thinking exactly the same thing. I was like, really? 14.5 gig? You've got issues downloading that? We live in Australia where we have bulk shit internet. 14.5 gig? That's a lot to ask on top of the 14.5 gig that I had to download the other day for the update to the beta. They're certainly not messing around with the size of the patching and updates and stuff like that. Like it is a little excessive.
I noticed as well that facial customization's coming in.
Yes.
Which Nikki will be pleased with.
I actually tested that in beta. I went in to make sure it was in there, and it is. You can change your faces around, which is probably a good thing, because with all the new character models and things, let me tell you, Draenei faces are shit now. Well, for females anyway. I haven't looked at another race.
I'm still finding it hilarious the amount of huzzah that is going on about this.
I think they should have skin tone on there as well, but
yeah, I must be one of those people. Like, I just don't care.
I go to the barbershop like once a week. I'm still bitching that there's not more hairstyles. But I would be so stoked.
And this right here, folks, is the fundamental difference between boy players and girl players.
Yes.
Speaking of the beta, I did pick up on the change to garrison achievements. They've boosted the achievement for work order completion, which in the last version of the beta started at 25 and was 150 at the top end. You had to complete 150 work orders to get the achievement. They've since buffed that slightly to 750. Now, the fact that you're limited to doing 6 work orders a day...
They've actually buffed that up now. So you can actually... I'm looking on Wowhead at the moment. You can actually do more at different levels.
What, more work orders per day? Beauty, because when I looked at it, it was 6 a day. So, roughly doing the maths, it worked out to about 5 to 6 months of doing it every day, give or take. Which I actually kind of look forward to, because it meant that it was something that you were actually going to have to invest time in. And it wasn't one of these little bullshit things where, like, the expansion comes out and then 3 days later you've done everything there is to do and you kind of like, oh, let's get raiding and shit.
Yeah.
So, but other than that, like, I haven't been playing around in the beta very much, and I've already covered off everything in the news that I sort of got onto. So,
all right, just finalising the things that are ending when 6.0 comes out in a couple of weeks' time.
Yep.
Season 15 of your PvP, for those of PvP, it's not me, it's not huge.
I'm going to admit to it, but I do actually have a full set of Season 15 PvP gear.
Yes, but you've obtained that from bosses, not from actually PvP, haven't you?
No, I've been spamming the crap out of Ultrac Valley. Because it's the only thing that the Alliance can actually win.
Fair enough. Well,
Alliance can win anywhere.
That will end when patch 6.0 launches. Conquest points will be converted into honour. Any honour above the cap of 4,000 will be converted into some in-game currency. Brawlers Guild Season 1 will end at the end of Season 6.0, and all its associated achievements will be converted into feats of strength.
Rank 10, I believe, is the feat of strength and title and a bit of other crap that goes with it.
It's worth noting that Huge and I were talking about this the other day, because I got an invitation off some rare mob I killed in Pandaria somewhere.
Yeah. And
he was saying that the actual drop rate has increased dramatically recently.
They seriously, like, with the amount of tunes that I've played through, like Pandaland and whatever else, like, when that first sort of started, didn't see shit. Like most people were buying theirs off the black market.
Well, they were 10 grand on the black market.
Yeah, like they were just retardedly expensive.
They're like 900 gold on my server on black market.
In the last, say, 3 months, I can't tell you how many of the damn things I've had drop. Like, just
See, I've never seen one.
ridiculously high. I've discarded so many of them. It's pure ridiculous. Like, that being said, I've only ever tried doing Brawlers Guild on one character. Huge bloke, and he's I think rank 7, rank 8, something like that. So I may very well try and push to rank 10. But
people should know as well that with the obviously Brawlers Guild will be back, but the BOAs you can get 2 fist weapons. They're actually going to be disappearing for no one knows how long, because obviously they're redoing BOA. So all BOA vendors, with the exception of the Dark Moon Fair and the Argent Tournament, are going to be gone.
So
they're going to be on holiday.
Now.
Yeah, so stock up now, also upgrade now, because Justice Points are real easy to come by, There's no word at all as to when BOA is going to be back and how you're going to purchase them, other than Argent and Dark Moon. So they might come back in some other form and you'll be able to upgrade them to 90, or who knows, but I can't. Yeah. No one knows when.
It'll work out in the end. It'll work out in the end. They're definitely coming back. It's just a matter of when. I would imagine it'll be a short time after, the initial drop of the expansion. But, yeah. So
also worth noting that MMO Champion has a list of the archaeology stuff hitting in Draenor.
If you've got a spare 45 minutes, it'll be good to read through it. It is a rather extensive list.
Yes.
I didn't see as well.
I'm yet to finish the Panda archaeology, let alone a new one.
On Wowhead, with the introduction of the toy box coming in, obviously that's kind of awesome, and there's a place to put all this shit that you've collected that's just taking up bank space now. No word on things that you already have, like maybe archaeology finds that you've had to get rid of over the time, like whether you can actually get them back, whether they're going to be in the toy box. That was kind of one of my questions.
That is, to a degree, incorrect. They have, I can't remember where I saw it, they have announced it though, and it is retroactive.
It is? Awesome. Last thing I read was that... They haven't
announced to what proportion it is though.
Because obviously with archaeology finds, once you've done something, you've done something. You can't go back.
Exactly.
And remake something. So something that I was curious about, because I know I've actually vended or gotten rid of things because I was like, I just don't have the space.
I think they were basically just deciding what level of item rarity that they're going to be retroactive to, whether they're going to restore all your blues and purples, or whether they're going to restore everything, or but yeah, it will be retro.
That's nice.
Worth noticing that the achievement for treasure hunting in Pandaria is for 200 treasures, as opposed to I think it ended up being about 90 in Pandaria. Given I've just recently done it and dinged off Riches of Pandaria at about 85 or 90, so
yeah.
When there's 100,
right on that.
Yeah, I was knocked off a whole stack of them just doing that because I hadn't done any of them. So that was
nice.
reasonably painless in the end. Brewfest is upon us.
Yay!
How not exciting!
I'm disappointed, and I said this to Mal last night, that I was disappointed at the quality of the gear, that it hasn't upgraded at all.
They don't generally tend to do that mid-expansion though. From my memory, they wait until the expansion drops and then the gear's upgraded.
It has upgraded. Like the trinkets and shit that are dropping now are like 470, something like that.
They were 470
it's just that
last
they haven't
time,
upgraded to the high end. Yeah. They've upgraded to this expansion, and that's it.
But I'm pleased to say that the RAM dropped for me last night. I didn't need it. Already had it.
I'm doing it on 6 tunes a day, and I've been that is the one amount that everyone seems to get, and I never get.
I'm not doing it on any tunes because I finished that up about 2 years ago.
I just don't have
You're still chasing the Kodo though, aren't you?
Nope.
Oh, you got that as well?
Yeah, I've had them both.
I believe you got Anzu the other day as well.
Oh yeah,
I did
true.
indeed. I've had a good run with the mount farming lately, and I shall continue.
And to be fair, Mel, I believe you got Mally this morning.
I got Malagos yesterday, so
So
that's actually nice. I can't complain too
So
much.
all we need is for you to get one walk, and we'll have the trifecta of mount drops this week.
I got my legendary in Sunwell, so
That's your bloody drop.
I'm pretty happy with that, to be honest.
Speaking of mounts, actually, one of the guys that I follow on Twitch and also on Facebook, Elvine, the guy's a pretty hard mount collector amongst other things. He was in a fun run 25 heroic ice crown and invincible dropped,
Ooh.
of which he did not win the role.
Oh.
But the dude is gold capped, so he bought invincible. And posted it all over Facebook, and it was right about that point that I had to go and sit in the lounge room and sob quietly into a pillow, because I know that I will never see that drop, let alone have the gold to buy that drop. So congrats to Elvon.
Yeah, that is definitely a cool mount.
Yeah, and he also got Ashes of Allah in the same, I think it was maybe 48-hour window.
That's pretty awesome. You'd have to be so stoked with that.
I saw a picture of a 20-man multi-boxer in Dalaran.
Yep.
All mounted on Ashes of Allah.
Oh god.
That is quite interesting. I would like to see that picture. If you can find that again, man, I'd love to see that up on the Facebook
Yeah,
page.
me too.
I have a strange fascination with multi-boxing.
I'm not sure if it's 10, if it was a 10-man multi-boxer or a 20-man. I know I saw there was a 21-man one on the same day.
It might be that a lot of multi-boxers do have merged accounts. So whereas where it's at all falls under one account name, you can actually have multiple accounts under one account name. So whether or not, if you get Ashes on one account, whether it spreads across all accounts, or whether he's literally farmed that shit so much that he has 10% of a drop. Yeah, that'd be interesting. I wouldn't mind having a look at that.
Yeah, me too.
Cool.
So that's the news for the week.
Yep, that is. What's next, bitches?
Well, we wanted to talk about characters in lore, and so we'll do that after the break.
You are not prepared!
Alright, so we're back, and as always, well, as we've done for the last 2 weeks, and are now going to do for a third week, we're going to have Huge talk about his add-ons of the week. And Huge, what have you got for us this week?
Gather round and pull up a knee, kiddies.
Scooch closer, children.
Yeah. Now, don't put your hands in the fire. This week, I went with a couple of different ones. Just like because most of the ones that I've been covering off sort of really have a designated purpose. So this week I went with Rarity, which its only function is to crush your soul, which sounds really weird, but it'll make sense in a second. It's a tiny little add-on that basically drops an icon next to your minimap, and if you right-click it or hover over it, it gives you a list of all the rare drops, specifically mounts, and on the odd occasion items, depending on what zone you're in. So, me being me, I do my daily mount run, trying to pick up the last few that I have. Take for example, we were just talking about ashes from the eye. If you zone in there and hover over the icon, it will basically it'll bring up the list. It'll tell you what the percentage rate of that drop is. How many times you've attempted it, how long you spent farming it, and whether you are considered lucky or unlucky. But it gives you the odds per the drop rate of that particular drop. So, I mean, one of the other rare sort of items that I've been farming up lately is sky shards. They have a 1 in 1,000 drop rate. I managed to pick one up on my 167th attempt the other night. So last night actually. So I'm deemed quite lucky. But then on some of the other ones, like the black wall mammoth from Wintergrasp in the vaults, I've done 270 something times, and the drop rate is 1 in 69. So basically, it crushes your soul. It is handy though, and it gives you an indication, because like it sort of shows you that the more times that you do it, like your percentage drop rate does increase. So it sort of inspires you to keep going at certain points, because the odds can't shit against you all the time. So I put that on just to see what it was all about, and I actually quite enjoy it, just as a sort of side thing when I'm farming mounds. But the other one I wanted to talk to you guys about was Elementrus, which is specifically a Shamington add-on. It comes up with a small box that you can place anywhere on the screen, and basically brings up the icon of what spell to cast next in a rotation to basically maximize either your DPS or your heals. It has separate little icons to remind you that you need lightning shield or a flask, or to sit down among some food. But since using it, and my DPS has really sort of picked up to a stupid amount, just by sort of really honing that rotation in and getting it down perfect. Now, while that version of it is specific to chamois in particular, there are very similar add-ons that do the same sort of thing for different classes. Most of the ones that I've seen come under the title of Spell Flash, and then your class. So like Wookie, I know you play a Paladin, so there's like Spell Flash Paladin, which is again a tiny little add-on, and it does exactly the same thing, except that version of it, basically it installs, and then while you're playing, it'll flash the buttons of which their suggested rotation is on your screen. And you can get them for all classes. Now, like I said, I've used it for my chamois, and it sort of really increased my DPS. But the classes that I don't play as much, like my Fail DK and even my Huntard, which, shock horror, most people think they're pretty straightforward to play. Like, I genuinely have no idea. I sort of sit there and just mash buttons through whatever cooldown. After putting Spell Flash for the Hunter, I was going to say Huntard again, I really sort of got my head around the rotation and can actually do some half-decent DPS. So now that I've got a better idea of what rotation I should be doing, like I leave it on just because it doesn't really make a difference whether you do or you don't. But I sort of found it was massively sort of helpful in the learning curve for each classes. So they're the two add-ons for the week. They're both really small, really easy to get your hands on. As I stated in the post on the Facebook page during the week, most of my add-ons come through WoW Matrix or the Curse downloader. So have a look on there for them, download them, install them, have a play with them, and let us know what you think of them.
Okay. Mel, you got anything to add on the add-on front?
No, I'm old and set in my ways, so I generally don't tend to try new things.
Compared to fucking Captain Recount over there.
I'd like to introduce you to my add-on of the week.
Oh, here we go.
And
amazing.
It's Recount. Now...
I actually prefer SCADA to Recount myself, and it uses less memory. Anyway.
I prefer the old damage meters add-on, to be honest, but...
I prefer the common sense. If shit's dying, you guys are doing enough DPS. If it's not dying, you're clearly not doing enough.
See, what I like to do in raids and instances these days is when someone says, look, does anyone have Recount? I'll say yes, and then put up anything except damage. Anything.
Yes.
So like, I get abused a lot in LFR these days because I'm just putting up things like number of absorbs done during the fight. Like, they're like, "Where's the damage?" And then I'll just put up like healing taken during a fight. It's my
You're
own.
one of those people that.
Well, I'm the same guy.
really
When I
helps
used to
the
raid on my
fight.
mage, I used to put up 7 portals on top of each other, and it was just pretty much,
Potluck, which one you got?
yeah. And so everyone ended up eventually in Exeter for no reason.
Just on that note, I do have to admit that, like, while it is incredibly childish, I still get a great degree of amazement out of people asking for portals when I'm on my mage, and they say like they don't look at all,
Yeah.
and then sit there and bitch at you because you've ported them to Exeter or Theramore or somewhere like that
Yeah,
instead
pretty-
of back to.
It used to be a lot more fun
That's
before they could just.
Terrible.
It used to be a lot more fun before they could just get the portal to Pandaro,
Yeah,
but now you can,
I can't believe that your add-on of the week is Recount. Like,
That's right.
To me, Recount or Scatter is like Omen and Deadly Boss mods.
Hey, that's my add-on for next week.
I actually don't use Omen. I don't use the threat meter at all anymore.
Well,
No, I don't either.
So it's
and
not
I've
really
spoken
necessary
about that
these
before.
days.
Like, if the boss or an ad starts looking at you and coming towards you, it's probably time to chill out just a smidgen.
I'm a
either that
hunter
or
as
get a
well,
new-
so misdirect and feign death.
Yeah, that works. So, cool. Well, that wraps up the add-ons then. On that note, if people on the page or one of our 4 listeners that do actually hear this segment, if you've got add-ons that you'd like to tell us about, I'm always keen as a bean to suss out new ones. So
Absolutely.
hit me up.
absolutely. It's interesting as well in coming up in I think patch 6.0. There, Blizzard are incorporating the ability to play around with your add-ons in game without having to leave it and come back in again. Basically taking the functionality of ACP and putting it into the game itself.
Yeah.
I have noticed that come Warlords, like a hell of a lot of the add-ons that people have been using for a while are actually getting put into the game, and I think that's good because they can see that it's working. But it gets the support and updates and shit from the Blizzard end, instead of having to wait on sort of like the community and fan base to update it.
I am surprised of all the add-ons that haven't been incorporated into the Blizzard UI that DBM doesn't really get a look in.
I don't know what the deal with that is because DBM has been used for such a long time. I am surprised that they don't have their version of it. I think they sort of started to when they added in like the screen flashing and things like
Yeah,
that.
they took stuff from CT Raid and DBM very early on. But,
and it never really came to its full fruition. But
I don't think they wanted the hints and stuff that those things do give you, though. The lights flashing and the threat, obvious threat stuff. I think that's all okay. But telling you to run away from a boss and stuff like that when he emotes is not really in the game design.
So annoyed at hearing that like 70 bajillion times in a raid. Run away, little girl, run away.
Well, that's why you turn the sound
Drives me
off.
nuts. But no, I'm surprised by that. Considering how many add-ons and concepts and stuff they rip from other games, I'm surprised they haven't put DBM in properly.
I'm surprised. Sorry, I'm just getting. I use Lost Treasure Check to do the treasure thing after you suggested it.
I know, and how'd that work out for you?
Well, it's okay because it tells you what you're missing. It doesn't tell you where anything is. And if you go to Wowhead to take advice from people on there, and because I did it without installing map coordinates or any coordinates at all,
That does make it a little difficult.
it's the one thing I won't do. I will not install a map coordinates thing. So
I'm sure there's some great moral reason why you won't do that.
it's the same reason I wouldn't use Quest Helper or anything like that back in the day. You've got to know where stuff is in the game, and if people give you a vague direction of where stuff is, you should be able to find pretty much everything without having someone give you a freaking pen and go, there it is, it's right there. Don't look, I found it for you. It's right. Look, don't use your eyes. It's okay. Look, just click on. No.
I used Lost Treasure Check in conjunction with Wowhead.
Yes.
So I was able to narrow down the general area, but I still had to fly there and like look for the sparkly thing.
Yeah.
To get it done, which I think is the way it should be done after
Absolutely.
the amount of time and effort that goes into making these things and hiding them and stashing them. To use like TomTom or waypoints or whatever sort of defeats the purpose and just unnecessarily speeds the game up and takes out the actual effort that's required.
Fair enough. So we're going to move on and talk
Yeah.
about lore a bit tonight instead of doing our usual run through the expansions and have nothing to talk about at the end of it. We thought we'd talk about famous people in lore or other people as the case may be. And I wanted to kick this off by asking you about Thrall. I've been reading some stuff today, obviously, and Garrosh has been fairly prominent since Thrall took off. Here's my question for you: is the rise of Garrosh the direct fault of Thrall taking off?
Sort of.
A bit like a kid in Port Adelaide whose dad runs away and leaves him without any discipline, and so the kid starts setting fire to cars and stuff. Is it like that?
Sort of.
I love the comparison there.
He picks this person, he makes him leader. He, as Thrall, for whatever reason, thought he would be the best choice. And then he fucks off. And then he comes back later on, like, all chastising, like, what have you done? Shaking, wagging his finger at the dude.
That doesn't fall onto Thrall, though. Like, he made him chief. Whether he stayed there or not, like, Garrosh was always going to do whatever he was going to do. Like, clearly the kid's batshit crazy in the first place. I don't think, whether Thrall had left or not, I honestly don't think that would have made a difference. I think it's. I think he's partly responsible in the sense that he made Gary war chief, which obviously set a lot of stuff in motion, but I don't think he's to blame for all the evil and bad and naughty things that Gary has done. I think that falls wholly and solely on him.
Here's my question, though. Was there ever a formal handover between Thrall and Garrosh, or did Thrall just take off and Garrosh just stepped in to fill the vacuum?
That's a good point.
Because I figured Garrosh was already pretty high up when Thrall was around.
From memory, and I don't hold me to it, but I do believe that Thrall did hand over to Garrosh semi-officially, whether or not it was in a caretaker capacity. I can't remember, but I do remember reading about it in The Shattering, I believe, because that story is obviously a little more Thrall centric and what happened to him and why he took off and things like that. I do believe it got mentioned in there, the exact process that sort of happened there. But don't take my word for it. I'm foggy at the best of times.
Okay, look, if you're listening to this podcast and you're still here by this time and we're halfway through it, drop us a line.
And you're not drunk from the excessive use of the word bitches.
Drop us a line on Facebook and let us know, what do you think, whether you think that Thrall is responsible for the rise, if you like, of Garrosh, or whether Garrosh would not have turned out to be one of those idiots if Thrall had stayed around to be a directing force.
Just speaking of Thrall, I do want to point out there was the meme going around of the warning. Now I don't know whether you guys saw this or not, and it was posted up on the actual Blizz forums. But basically, it was advertised as warning: do not raid with this person. And you go through and you read.
Okay,
you read the article, and basically it's just absolutely hanging shit on like the worst LFR or just general raid member that you could come across, who is meant to be top shit and the best ever and amazing, and then takes one hit and basically just sits up the back and gets carried. Not once but twice, because and what it is they're talking about Thrall, because essentially he sat there and did jack shit during the Cataclysm sort of end fight, and he's repeated that with the Gary kill, which to me is kind of upsetting, because he's not really doing much for the elemental shamans, which I am. So I'm a little disgraced at the moment, but It is a little disheartening to see, this supposed like the greatest shaman that's ever lived, taking one little hit from Gary and be like, oh no, I'm too weak to fight, and my magic doesn't work. Oh shit. I'll leave it to these 20 randoms that just walked in here with me.
All right. So, look, we wanted to talk about perhaps our favourite characters in some cases, and Mal wanted specifically to talk about someone, Illyria, I believe.
Yes, obviously. I've talked about Illyria a lot. And I guess I would have wanted to see the sort of dynamic between if she'd actually come back, whatever the hell has happened to her and her partner. The story and dynamic between her, Sylvanas, Varisa. I suppose you sort of get a little bit of that in is it War Crimes, where Sylvanas and Varisa sort of have that moment, and then I don't want to give too much away.
They don't get along. That's basically the premise of it, isn't it?
Mm. Yeah,
So,
and she's obviously this big alliance hero as well. So she comes back. Is she still going to be firmly alliance? Tyrellian's alliance.
what kind of dynamic are you hoping for? I mean, I know for me, not being that deep into the story, I'm kind of hoping that somewhere in this next expansion pack, like they're going to meet up and they're going to go to like the inn and break some bread and like talk crazy stories and catch up and like have this heartful bonding moment sort of thing.
I kind of want to know a bit more about Sylvanas as well, and I feel like that would bring it out. Like, is she just some crazy bitch now? Has she gone like insane? Like
She's your idol. She's like Queen of the Banshees or Queen of the Harpies and shit. Like, she's a vengeful bitch.
She had this driving force to get Arthas for what he did to her and what he did to her people and her homeland, which you could understand. That's a position you could put yourself in. And then she gets him. Has she been driven insane by the fact that she's lost her force? She realizes she's this monster, or maybe she doesn't realize she's this monster. And like, there's that moment in the quest line of, I think it's Silver Pine Forest, where she's showing Garrosh how she can make new Forsaken now by using the Valkyries. And he looks at her, and I think the exact words he says is, "What's the difference between you and Arthas now?" Like, so I guess I want to see more. Yeah, I feel like if Illyria came back, it would bring out more. I want to know more about what's going on there. I want to know.
I'd love to see those characters in general just way more developed. Like some of the characters that we've had in past expansions that have sort of been built up in it. I think it's long overdue that Sylvanas and I mean Vol'jin's getting his turn now.
Yeah,
he's been a bit more beefed up. Like they've got a novel specifically to him. I'd like to see a bit more backstory and maybe even a novel of a Sylvanas centric storyline.
Yeah,
that'll be good.
And I just like the interplay between Alliance and Horde. Like, I want some focus that's not orcs, to be honest.
I think there's a few people that would like to see a little less orc based everything.
A little bit more Alliance favoured would be my preference, but then again, I would say that.
I agree with that.
Look at the trailer for
character development for Alliance as well.
Look at the trailer for Warlords. Like, there's not one drop of Alliance anything in it.
I've seen a number of complaints on the forums and on Twitter about another orc expansion. So it's not really ideal from my perspective, at least.
The one thing I would say about the leaked videos that Blizzard's put on, I'm not going to mention anything in them. There is one or two where you start to see a bit of Alliance character development from one of the main Alliance. Players there, a little bit.
It is only a little bit, though. Anyway,
saving grace for me is the knowledge that this expansion coming up is like the whole focus is on orcs and Draenor. Is to a lesser degree the fact that the Draenor get a bit more play story wise, it's a small consolation, but it's something that's better than nothing, I guess.
It's ironic, really, that you talk that we talk about Draenor now, having talked about Illyria, because she hasn't been seen in lore since BC.
Yeah, yeah. And there's a few characters like that at some stage during BC or in pre-stories or whatever have gone off to on some crazy adventure
And not been seen again.
and not been seen. And it's like it's not just he's out still doing something. It's like they've literally disappeared off the face of fucking every planet, not just Draenor.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of hoping that there's a few sneaky ones that sort of come back in a big way. And they'll be like, hey, I've been missing for the last 7 years, but, this is what I've been doing and this is what I'm up to. And, like, I need your help to do this or that or whatever. Like, they have the opportunity. I'd like to see them take it, but I'm not holding my breath.
Well, that brings me to the character I wanted to talk about for tonight, which was Turaleon, who was the lover of Illyria at one point. And he went missing around the same time. Supreme Commander of the armies of Stormwind. Second in command to Anduin Lothar. I mean, he was a Knight of the Silver Hand, along with Tyrion Fordring. Supreme Allied Commander, High General of the Alliance Expedition to...
And he's just gone missing.
And he's just gone, yes. No one's looking for him. There's none of the,
There is, I think he's in Illyria's son, or maybe they had twins. There's like an NPC in Outland in Honor Hold, I think it is. It's their son, and he's there looking for them. That's the only, but obviously that's to do with BC. That's the only hint that anyone even notices that they're fucking gone, apart from those statues in Stormwind.
I just find it hilarious that someone of such high status in the Alliance can disappear. Ain't nobody got time for that. They don't care. Oh, big fucking deal. Oh, he's been missing for the last 7 years. Oh, we won't go, send anyone to find him or, have any inkling of any sort of story about that.
Yeah.
I just think it's retarded.
And Thrall can fart and everyone's all over it. Stupid Thrall. Damn orcs.
Yeah.
Stupid Thrall being a shit representation of Shamis, but anyway.
So that's... I'm particularly keen on seeing what happens with Turaleon, whether he makes a comeback as well.
I want to see more development for Tapper McNabb. That's my lore request. Is more development, more storyline of Tapper McNabb. The dude's been begging outside of the auction house in Stormwind for the better part of 10 years now. And I think we've moved well beyond, I'm poor, I can't eat, and, I'm blind, I can't see. I think it's more of a, it's a bit of a scam now. I'd like to see some sort of crazy, I'd like to see his backstory. Like, how did he end up becoming a beggar in the streets of Stormwind? Because I developed my own theory, and it's so far-fetched. But, you never know, it could actually be legit. But I actually think he was a member of the royal family of Lordaeron.
Okay.
Around the Arthas era, and I think he was like a brother or an uncle or something like that, and maybe the king's gone into the library one Friday night to grab a book for the weekend and found good old Tapper McNabb, giving out wristies to the butler or something, and as a result, the king stripped him of all his title and lands and wealth and whatever else, and now he's just basically running a I'm blind scam in the streets of Stormwind. That's my version of events. I'd like Blizzard to back something up here and give me some backstory to that dude, because I've seen him every day for the last 10 years. I want to know what the fucking deal is.
It's crazy.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I'm not one for lore. Obviously I read the books and whatever else, but I don't retain the information or the names of the characters enough. But for some reason, that dude stuck out in my mind.
There's actually another character I've always found really interesting, and just stumbled upon him because he smushed me once in Eastern Plaguelands. This is
Soul Reaver?
King. That's Nathanos Blackcaller he was when he was an elite there. He's not in the game anymore. Originally he was Nathanos Maris. So as Blackcaller, he now is a hunter trainer in Undercity.
Yeah.
But he was this massive, he was the first human ranger. So I guess lore-wise, maybe he ties to how that there are human hunters now. And Sylvanas, took him in, trained him, went against the orders of, I can't even remember the guy's name now, the old king, obviously before everything got fucked up in Silver Moon. He then stood...
King of Lordaeron?
Not in the actual Blood Elves, the Blood Elf King.
Yeah, that guy.
That was Kale Thus.
Was he the king though?
He was Lord of the Blood Elves. So yeah.
He was.
I thought he was just crazy magic guy.
No.
I don't know, but yeah, so he has this cool history. I think there was some quests in vanilla and stuff involving
There was.
him.
He was a 40-man outdoor raid.
Yeah. And so he's obviously he was Alliance, he was a massive hero, and then he gets taken down by, what's the big undead dude thing from fucking Stratholme.
No, I'm drawing blanks on this one.
Balnazar? No.
I can't believe no one remembers that.
I've seen that many characters in this game come and go. It's retarded.
Yeah, well, I don't know. He just has this big story with Sylvanas. He gets made into a Forsaken, and then when not Forsaken, to an undead, and then when obviously shit happened with Arthas losing all of his power to control the dead, he ends up getting killed by Alliance or the Raid, whoever, and then he gets raised by Sylvanas because she had trained him as the only human hunter. She'd gone against the orders of her king to have this guy with the Blood Elves in Silver Moon, and then now he's just some fucking random hunter trainer in Undercity, and who even goes to trainers anymore. It just seems really weird. He could be a really interesting character. He's got these ties to Alliance, and now he's Horde.
Do you know who else could be a really, really interesting character? And I honestly think deserves, his own maybe novel. Hogger.
Well, it's interesting you should mention that.
Well, maybe there's a reason why I mentioned that.
I at one point wrote an extensive history on the Knoll race, which included guys like Yowler, who lived in the hills of Redridge, and you can still go and kill him now. But and also Hogger, who killed me many times on very low level tunes in Elwyn Forest.
Oh, mate.
As I stumbled into him from nowhere.
as most people have suffered at least once.
And then I spent most of vanilla making sure every max turn I had killed him every time we went through the bloody forest.
Went back in vengeance.
Anytime I was in Stormwind, those guys were going back to kill him, even if I had nothing.
I would like to see Hogger get a bit of backstory, whether that's written by you or not. I mean, obviously we've got to wait for you to finish the Bolvar novel.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, can we have an update of how that's going for this week?
Well, we can. So far, I've written the chapter on where his father dies, and
so you've written a whole chapter.
He inherits the title. He inherits the title of High Lord from his father.
Right.
He is one of only 2 High Lords in the kingdom, so he's basically like the warden of the south of the kingdom. Where Tyrion Fordring, the other High Lord, is basically the warden of the north.
Like, what's his name? Ned Stark.
Essentially, it's a formal title. They're basically second only to the king in that regard. And basically, his father dies in some stupid way. I haven't really decided how his father dies. I've written 3 different ways. He falls off a horse, he chokes on a chicken bone, or he gets shot by a demon. So.
Maybe I'm just going to throw it out there, but maybe we could have a culminative effort here, in that as this story develops, you can sort of sneakily work in both the backstory of Hogger and the lore behind the Knoll race, but maybe, just maybe, on an outside edge, because I know Blizzard's going to tell me to fuck off if I write it to them, because it kind of fits in the same storyline. Maybe you could sneak in the backstory to Tapper. Just have.
I'll see what I can do.
Maybe the king's going to the book to go get a book with Bolvar or something. They're having a bit of a chinwag while they're going along, and lo and behold, there's Tapper giving out wristies to a lower class serf in the back of the library on the Friday arvo.
So essentially, the first chapter is basically telling you about the story of his family's castle, his a little bit of family history, and the summons to the king to receive his title and swear his oaths of allegiance. And the second chapter is about to be written where he has to stick around for the king's wedding and stuff like that. So
there you go. Maybe Tapper did something daft at the wedding.
Or perhaps he did. Perhaps he did.
I'm still keen on the whole library wristies thing, but I'm flexible. I'm flexible.
So that's where the Bulba story is. It's coming along. It's
slowly but surely.
Yes, there may be an epic Knoll War that might have to be incorporated at some point now, but
that would be most amusing.
I always wanted to write like a series of like a book that just had like chapters on like the little known races of WoW, like the kobolds and the quillbores and stuff.
That would basically make up the entirety of the chapter for the kobolds, wouldn't it? You just have like 4 pages of the brain damage that they've received somewhere along the line to basically get stuck in that loop of that one phrase and their sentimental attachment to their candles.
Yes, it would.
I think you should make it happen.
I'll see what I can do. So, did you have anything else to talk about lore-wise, guys?
Not lore-wise, no.
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 Alrighty, moving along. What have you got to talk about? Huge.
What the hell was that? Did you just fucking slow down and have a stroke there or something?
More or less. What else did you want to talk about,
mate? The Facebook page, as always. We're coming along strongly. Last look, there's 210 fans of the page now. I want to say thank you to each and every one of them, especially my mum. She's definitely very proud of me.
We all love her.
It really sort of goes a long way to say, there's 210 people out there that, to a degree, enjoy the effort that we go to sort of post up or organise runs or giveaways or even do this podcast. I don't know how many people listen to this podcast. I hope there's a few. I hope it continues to grow. But the interaction that we're getting on the page is, to me, what's making it really worthwhile. There's been some awesome discussions. There's been people sending PMs with suggestions of shit to talk about or asking for help or, how to or what do we do or maybe can we do this run or this achieve. And that led us to last night's fun run of Firelands and Throne of Four Winds, which went down pretty damn well. I think a whole bunch of achievements got knocked off. A few people got some transmogs. There was some disgraceful behaviour involving a bear and a blob of. Yeah, I wasn't going to mention names, but it's evident enough when you look at the screenshot that I posted on the Facebook page. I was just completely lost for words when I saw it, mainly because I was pissing myself laughing.
That was fantastic.
And while I know that some people might be a little bit fragile and take offence to that sort of humour, ultimately that's what this page is about. Like, I think Australians have a very unique sense of humour, and that is a perfect depiction of it, where we chuckled quite heartily over that. Between that sort of bullshit and the fact that the raid pretty much got stalled for, give or take overall, 20 minutes, 25 minutes, while we were delighted with the reminiscing of things like Trapdoor and Captain Planet and Kingswood Country and my personal favourite, A Country Practice, to which we spent at least 10 minutes discussing who the hottest character of A Country Practice was. While trying to down one of the bosses in Firelands. It's just that sort of random stupid but amusing bullshit that's been happening that has made it truly enjoyable for the level of effort that it takes for us to keep the page running and sort of entertaining and interacting. So I want to say thank you to everyone, and please share and keep posting and interacting with us, and hopefully we can keep growing the community and growing the page and the guilds into something bigger and better.
All right.
Yeah.
Mel, did you have anything to finish off with?
No,
Shut
no,
up.
good.
You can't talk. All right. Enough out of you. Bitchy bitch. Just to finish the, because we get towards the end of the podcast, I want to get a few more shots in.
Alrighty. Don't forget to visit the Facebook page or get hold of us online. Don't forget we also have a Horde Guild on Dathramar, even though we're probably not paying as much attention to that as we should be. Mal's there frequently.
I am, yes. I've got my 4th level 90 hunter in that guild now.
And I shall be around in the next week, I believe, as my rested XP is now rebuilt, so...
I'll be the first one to admit I haven't been spending a hell of a lot of time there, but that being said, I've been pretty crazy with personal life and work life, and have been somewhat limited to just the Facebook page. I would like to know people's general thoughts. Okay, we've got a Horde Guild going on Dathramar. Would people be interested in a Alliance Guild on Amenthal? It's an idea that we're sort of toying around with, being that we've got the new expansion coming up. Some people are looking for new homes, some people couldn't care less. At the moment, the idea being it would be the same as the Horde Guild that we've already got, basically a stopgap for your alts, and when you're on, and you can still have your mains wherever they belong, sort of thing. But if that's something you'd be interested in, yeah, let us know on the Facebook page and we'll see what happens.
Okay. Mel, nothing else?
No, I think we've covered everything.
All right. Well, that'll be it for us for this week. Join us next week for another riveting discussion on matters.
And
wow. If you have something you think we should talk about, or you have something we think we should know,
Like
how to talk.
Shut up.
Well, let us know on Facebook. Someone's always paying attention to the page somewhere along the line, and we look forward to your suggestions, questions, queries. Particularly, I want to hear what your favourite lore characters are, if you have them.
And whether Thrall was indeed responsible.
And whether Thrall could have been a little bit more of a good influence on Garrosh if he hadn't taken off with his girlfriend.
As opposed to a shit chamois.
As opposed to a very ordinary chamois. See, that's a topic for another discussion. But, yeah. Why don't these characters in game ever use their actual supposed abilities like you or I would? Like when Bolvar dies, why didn't he just bubble Hearth? He's a freaking paladin.
Why didn't Thrall summon an Earth Elemental or a Fire Elemental to take on Gary?
Oh man.
Oh, that's right. Because for miles around, Gary's fucking sorcerers have corrupted all the elements.
Oh, stop.
Well, clearly
stop.
Thrall's not the super chamois that he's built up to be.
All right,
Anyway.
you need to stop talking.
I was going to say, don't start me again because I'll be going for another 14 hours.
You need to stop talking or watch the videos that Blizzard posted. That's it. That's it for us before I get into trouble and I'm good.